Hi there, this is Ethan Cohen here on behalf of Skybox Audio, and today I'm going to be walking you through a piece that I created using Ether. Now, Ether is a preset expansion for hammers and waves that adds 10 compelling cinematic pads to each instrument in the Hammers and Waves collection. That's 100 new presets in total for the entire bundle. Now, these presets use the incredibly flexible playback engine that Hammers and Waves offers to elevate the originally recorded samples into something completely unexpected and sonically stunning. Now today I'm going to jump into this session and break it down part by part, and at the end you'll be able to listen beginning to end. So let's jump in. So here in the project view we have a folder containing 13 Hammers and Waves presets, 11 of which are presets from the Ether expansion. And below that, I have a couple soft synths that I like to use. I have an orchestral effects library. I'm using Skybox Audio's very own Drop Designer, a sampler that's containing a percussive element that I'm using throughout the piece. And then at the bottom here, I've recorded a handful of live string passes. Now I've color-coded the individual tracks to signify their function in the piece. So here at the top, starting from the top down, we have a modern grand preset called Eon Moon. And I used this in the track to really be the body of the piece, to really be the harmonic progression throughout and to drive this piece from start to finish. So this is what it sounds like. That's just a little taste, but I really love how choral this sounds. It sounds like it exists in a church somewhere. And just to go over the emotional arc I was intending in this piece, I really wanted it to feel really small and lonesome at the start, and really build to be this gigantic thing. So I think this was a really great way of starting it. You know, it sounds like this empty church hall. Next, right below it, we have a preset for UX called Dust Clouds. And I'm using this as a melodic element, the lead melodic element in this track. And it's being doubled by the cello at the bottom here. So I'm going to play this. Now I love how much this one sounds like it's still derived from the high end of the upper register of this piano. I think it really adds an organic quality to what would otherwise be a synth pad. It really has this feeling of spatial depth. Now below this, I have a handful in this light blue color that I pretty much use as an ambient texture for it to create some more depth in the track, more space, and some of these have some pretty cool sputtery effects. I really love Sputtertron and the Muted Relic, and these really fill in the space that I felt like was missing beforehand. So this is what they sound like. And these are sort of haunting in a way, which I also really used to my benefit for making it feel hollow and lonesome at the start, very small. There's some strong pitch modulation in a few of these patches, so it has this eerie vibe to it. Now below this I have these brownish elements. One of the tracks is actually just the dulcetone instrument just the preset patch, the default. And above it, it's this the Relic Upright patch in the Ether expansion. And I'm using these as the base elements. So as you can see, they don't come in till later on in the piece. And that's to really help grow and expand the sonic depth of this piece. So it starts off small, the arc is small and lonely, and then these come in. And the dulcitone has this really cool effect. I'll just solo it on its own. But it's kind of bubbly. It warbles up, which I really love. So we have that, and then we have just the dulcitone preset, which is like a sine wave, really great for the bottom end. Now this patch, right below it, I'm using as the build effect. So what this piece does at the very end, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it ramps up, and then it cuts out, leaving just one element left. This track is the most saturated, distorted one that really adds this grungy vibe to the build. And when it cuts out, it's extremely, it feels empty again like the start. So we start off small, we build, we grow, and then it all cuts out and it's small again. Sort of like a juxtaposition of dynamics, if you will. You hear the biggest part right next to the smallest part, and it makes everything feel like space, which is what I was going for in this piece. So this is the build. This is Infinite Schism, and it's actually, funny enough, a track that I designed for Hammers and Waves. So this is what it sounds like. So my favorite part about that sound is that I'm using no external effect of distortion on it. All that saturation, all that panning, it's existing within the preset itself. And when you ride the mod wheel, it gets super saturated. And I love that. And now at the bottom here, we have the Modern Grand. And this patch is, again, a default patch. It's used to sort of help ground the piece in the fact that this is still a piano library. And these presets are derived from these sounds. So I wanted to have that element in there. So this is what these two sound. Modern Grand, Wavering Hope. That's one of the Ether presets as well. And I think it maintains the sound of the keys being pressed really well, of the piano sound. So let's listen to what these sound like. And at the later end, this piano part is doubling both the melodic part and the cello part down here. It's creating some great depth, which I really enjoy. And then below here, we'll find Drop Designer. I just wanted to feature it because it's a great product. And so it's these very low booms that really propel this track forward. These presets really seem to be a Pandora's box of creativity and experimentation. And at the press of a key, I've felt like there's a portal opening into this new dimension. Thanks for sticking with me through this whole thing. And feel free to stick around and listen to my track Into the Ether from start to finish. Take care.